Cool. We'll start the session within 2 minutes. And guys, generally we have in session from Monday to Friday. So I got few pings on Saturday regarding sessions. Want to clear that up? Yes, Sainteja, we can discuss that up at the end of the session. Okay, I'll take it forward. Hello, everyone. Am I audible to you? Yes. Uh, I'll suggest that please note down this URL, or if you can open in your mobile, that will work, because this link will help you to practice all the problems, whatever we are discussing in the class. Done. Okay. Okay. So we'll start the new topic today, which is nothing but pattern printing. Let's say I asked you to print 3 star into the new line. So what will be the code you're gonna write in order to print that up? 3 times sysout will work, right? Yes or no? Let's say you will repeat this particular statement for 3 times. Now, I don't want to print it 3 times. I want to print it star for the 100 times. Every time into the new line. How many times you have to write sysout? 100 times. Is it worth it to repeat the statement for 100 times? So what you will do? You will go for a loop. Anything will work, right? Generally, if we know the exact number of iterations, we prefer for loop or while loop. For loop, right? We prefer for loop. Correct. So first way is write sysout for 100 times. Another way is use the for loop for exact number of iterations. So we can have a for loop which can have a condition for I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 100, and I plus plus, right? And we can have sysout for, sysout star, and this will execute for 100 times. Now, let's say actually, I'm trying to find the way to hide this. Uh, just give me a minute, folks. Oh, God. Yeah, sure. We will share all the recordings. You can go through it. It's just that we have discussed 2 sessions. In the first session, we had a discussion about what we discussed in the first session. Okay, so we discussed the importance of DS. In the second session, we discussed about if else, right? Cool. Okay. Now, let's say I don't want to print 1 star in 100 lines. I want to print 2 star in 100 lines. So what you're gonna do? Can I say that same for loop? And in sysout, you will change this code to having 2 star. Will that work? And will it solve your problem? But now let's say there are 100 rows, and in each row you have to print 100 star. Is it practically possible to write the code in this way? No, right? So this sysout will also be replaced with another for loop, right? So this is the crux for the pattern printing. we will discuss various steps which you should follow in order to solve the problem statement for the pattern printing. But do you get an idea? In order to solve the problem statement based on pattern printing, you need 2 for loops. Is that part clear, that you need 2 for loops in order to solve this, right? So in general, if you want to solve the problem statement based on pattern printing, we need 2 for loops, right? It can be more, but in general, 2 loops will be required. Now, based on the discussion we had so far, the outer loop will be for number of rows, or will it be for number of columns? Number of rows, right? So outer loop is for number of rows. Guys, those who are attending online, we are getting very less response. So it would be great if you can respond as well. Okay. So inner loop was for the columns, right? Now, as of now, we have taken a fixed value, which is nothing but 100. Can I say that this value can also vary? It can be sometimes 99, it can be 105, it can be 1000, anything, right? So can I denote this value with a variable n? Will that work? Okay. In general, there is single input which is given it to you. It can be 2, but in general, a single input will definitely be given it to you, which is nothing but n. Cool. Now, let's say n value is equal to 3. So I'm just giving you a dummy pattern. We will discuss pattern in detail. But let's say n equal to 3 is given it to you. So you have to print something of this sort. And let's say when n equal to 4 is given it to you, so you have to print something of this sort. So can I say that by changing the value of n, either your rows will change or your columns will change, right? But this structure, what exactly you have to print, will be given in the problem statement. More specifically, you can find it in the sample input and output format. Is this part clear so far? If it's clear, we can move forward. Sure? Okay. So in order to solve any problem statement based on pattern printing, what you should do, you should try to establish the relationship value of n. N is nothing but your input, right? With the number of rows. This is the first thing which you have to do. Now, second, you have to establish the relationship between number of columns So number of columns will generally have the relationship with rows or with the value of n. Either one will definitely hold true. Cool. So if you keep these points in mind, you can definitely solve any problem statement based on pattern printing. We'll start with a very simple example and we will increase the complexity of the pattern. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I want to print n stars in a, so let's call it Q1, n stars in a row. If I want to print n stars in a row, for example, let's say n is equal to 3, so you have to print something of this sort. And let's say n is equal to 4, you have to print something of this sort. Can you tell me the logic for the same? Can you tell me the logic? You have to tell the code, right? Follow. Okay. Int I equal to 1. N, right? You will generalize. It shouldn't be 3, it shouldn't be 4, it should be n, right? N I plus plus. So what should I do inside the for loop? Print, not print ln, right? Okay. So it will be system.out.print, not ln, and you will print star. And can I say that there is also a space between them? If there is a space, I'll also append a space with star, else star will work in the form of string, right? Now, let's say I want to execute this particular piece of code for 2 times. For example, when n is equal to 3, I want to print something of this sort. And when n is equal to 4, I want to print something of this sort. Now, what should I do? 2 for loops. I can go with 2 for loops. How you will write 2 for loops? 2 nested for loops, or you will write 1 for loop after another. Okay, so yeah, there are 2 solutions. First, you can go for 1 for loop after another. That will also work. So basically, if you will write 2 independent loop, that will solve the problem. Let's say you're going for the nested loop. So if you're going for the nested loop, can you tell me what will be your outer loop and what will be your inner loop? No, it can't be same, right? Exact same, it can't be. So what will your first outer loop? Can you define your outer loop? I equal to 1, then less than or equal to n, 2 or n. But what I'm saying is, this is fixed. Number of rows are fixed. Only your column is changing. So I less than or equal to what? Any thoughts? You have to respond. That then only you will get to know where you're doing wrong. Okay. just think in this way. When we were printing only the one row, can I say that we were writing this particular logic? Correct. So shortcut to do this was executing this particular piece of code two times, two independent for loop. One time when you will write this piece of code, will it print this row? If I will write this loop again, can I say that it will print this row once more? So can I say that this particular logic was executing two times? And if I will write this particular logic inside a loop and execute this loop for two times, let's call it as J, will this solve my problem? Yes or no? But definitely after doing this, you should go to the next line, else everything will be printed in the same line. Is this part clear? If it's clear, we can discuss pattern printing in detail. Anyone has any doubts in this particular part? Sure, you're able to understand. You have doubt? What about you guys? Sure, it's clear? Okay. If it is clear, if it is clear, let's say if n is equal to 3, I want to print something of this sort. And when n is equal to 4, I want to print something of this sort. Right? Can you tell me if n is 3, how many rows we are printing? 3 rows, right? Mm. So we're printing 3 rows. And when n is equal to 4, how many rows you are printing? 4 rows. So can I say that number of rows are equal to? So what we decided, to rows, you will establish the relationship with what? For rows, you should establish the relationship with n, right? Correct? We'll follow the steps. So number of rows is equal to, yeah, that's fine, but can I say that it's equal to n? That's important, right? As of now, don't worry about columns when you're talking about rows. When you're discussing about the columns, then you can include the, yeah. So number of columns are equal to n. It's also equal to n because when n is equal to 3, we have 3 columns. When n is equal to 4, we have 4 columns. Now, while discussing, okay, I think I have to. Let me create the dummy project. It will take some time to process, and meanwhile, we will discuss in the notepad. Now, we discuss in order to solve this problem statement based on pattern, we require 2 loops minimum. Now the outer loop will be for rows. So can you tell me what will be the condition? Okay. So for rows, we will go for, we will take the variable as R. For column, we will take the variable as C. Will that work? Okay. It will simplify. So R equal to 1. R should be less than or equal to N R plus plus. Correct? Then inner loop, cool. So your inner loop should go from same 1 C less than or equal to N C plus plus. Now, what should you do then next? Print ln or print? Print. Cool. What it will do? Yeah, what should I print? Star, right? And yeah, let's correct. Print star. And once you're done with this loop, what you should do? Go to the next line. So can I say that you will write println and you will go to the next line? Works well? Okay. So we'll write down the exact code in Eclipse. Is it needed or do we need to trace the code? We can do that. So which is needed? Shall we write down the code in Eclipse or shall we trace the code? Shall we trace it? Okay. Do you know how to trace the code in Eclipse? Everyone? No? So we'll do it first time in the Eclipse. Let's say when you're practicing it, you can use Eclipse. Slowly build the habit, trace the code without the support of Eclipse. Because in the interview, we don't have the support for any ID, right? They will ask you to write down the code in pen and paper if it's offline interview. In many companies, they make you write down the code in the notepad. Okay. Yeah, we will trace the code. Let's make it 24. Is font size fine? Okay. So what we discuss first, instead of taking scanner, I'll simply go with n equal to 5. I'll hardcode the value. Let's say n equal to 5. And as of now, I just wanted to print this thing. All 5-star, right? So if I need to do that, how many loops are required? If I need to print only 5-star if n is equal to 5, one loop will work. Is this part clear? Right? see guys, if you'll respond, you don't even have to like mug up the code, or like once the session is done, you can look into the problem statement and you will be able to recall what all we discuss in the session. So it suggests to respond. Even if it's wrong, then only I'll get to know where you guys are stuck, right? So that we can improve the thought process. But at least you have to respond. So I less than or equal to n. So, so 5 is in static value. 5 can change. If let's say I change 5 to 7, instead of 5, if you're getting confused, uh, understand that we are taking the value from scanner, right? Sc dot next rate. Now, user can input any value. If let's say user enter 5, this loop should work for 5 times. If it entered 10 or any other value, this loop should work for 10 times. Correct? So the point is, instead of hard coding the value 5, it's better to go with n. Works well? Cool. I plus plus. What should I do? I should write and I should print star, right? Yes, space. Let's run this code. Oh, mm, yeah. Okay. So let's say I'll give the value 7. We're able to get 7 star. Works well. Now, what I need to do, I need to print something of this sort. For n equal to 5. So can I say that the logic to print the first row would be same for the logic to print the second row? Correct? So can I say that this particular piece of code was executing 2 times? Right? So we went for this and we have written the uh, outer loop. J++. But if you notice that uh, this particular piece of code was printing the first row, this particular piece of code was printing the first row, right? But after that, are we going to the new line? As of now, are we going to the new line? No, right? So if you're not going to the new line, and let's say we execute this particular piece of code, oh, I'll give the smaller value, let's say 3. So everything is getting displayed in the same line. Is this part clear? That after printing the row, we should go to the next line. Okay. An empty sysout will work, right? It will take to the next line. Let me give value 4. We were able to get this correct. Now, in the code, what is changing? The problem statement which we were discussing, it has n rows in n column, right? If let's say I need 3 rows, so what I should change? In this program, the number of stars are fixed. If let's say n is 5, you have to print 5 star in each column, but now the number of rows are 3. So what should I change in my code? J less than or equal to 3 will solve it. And in our problem statement in exact problem statement. So what we discuss it over here, how many rows do we have? 3 rows, 3 column. And if n is 4, 4 rows, 4 column. In general, how many rows we have? If we'll generalize it, these two pattern, so how many rows do we have? N rows. So can I say that this 3 should be replaced with n and it will solve the problem? Okay. So it's also one of the way to understand, but I'll say that stick with the basics. Outer loop is for the number of rows and inner loop is for the number of columns. You will be able to solve complex problem statement. Rohan, you can take two separate variables, but the point is you are not creating the problem statement. Someone has created the problem statement and he wants you to read only single input. Cool. So in that case, you don't have a luxury to have two separate variables. You can copy the exact same value, but it won't make much sense. Yeah. Is this clear? Are you able to understand how this particular piece of code is executing? Anyone has any doubts on this? Oh, sure. Okay. If it's clear, we can move to the next problem. So what does next problem statement says? When n is equal to 3, you have to print something of this sort. And when n is equal to 4, you have to print something of this sort. Cool. So shall we first establish the relation? Let's say for number of rows, it will be equal to what? R is equal to what? In this case example, it's definitely number of rows are 3, and in this case, number of rows are 4. So in general, if I want to establish the relationship with R is equal to what? Number of rows are equal to what? N, right? Yeah. What about the columns? Equals to N. Are you sure? Can I say that number of columns are changing in each row? Can you see? It's changing, right? Correct, Ashutosh. So how you will denote it? So whenever we say R is equal to N, can I say that there are N rows and we are numbering them from 1 to N, correct? Because our loop was going from 1 to N, right? So you're printing the first row, second row. In this manner, we're moving forward. So can I say that row number would be 1, 2, and 3, right? In this case, it will be 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now tell me, number of columns in each row has the relationship with what? Number of rows. So can I say that C is equal to R? Correct. So what I'll do, I'll copy paste this particular piece of code into the new file. So can you tell me what value will change for the outer loop? No. So let's change the variable for the simplicity. We'll take the variable R. Right? What about the inner loop? Let's take it C. Yeah, C less than or equal to R. Correct? Let's give value as 5. We are able to get this. And let's put the value as, let's say 3. Correct? Now, shall we trace this code or you are able to understand? Okay. Um, for the simplicity, what I'll do, I'll put the breakpoint over here. So you have to just double tap on the site, it will put the breakpoint. And let me put the breakpoint over here. And if you want to trace the code, what you can do, you can run it in the debug mode, right? And you will get certain commands over here. It's waiting for the input. Let's say input is 3, or let's say 4. Okay, switch. Now, first time, do you all agree that R value will be equal to 1? Do you agree that R value will be equal to 1 when it will go inside this for loop? Correct? If R value is 1, based on the logic, how many stars we should print for the first row? 1 star. Okay. I'll comment this particular piece of code, else it will be an issue. Hmm. Yeah. So for R equal to 1, we need to print 1 star. Now, based on this particular condition, let me hide this. Yeah. Based on this particular condition, what do you think? This loop is going to execute how many times? No, as of now, R value is 1, right? So how many times this loop is going to execute? 1 time. If this loop is going to execute on 1 time, can I say that star will be printed only once? And that's what we want, right? Now, there is a play button. It will move to the next breakpoint. And as you can see that, we got the first star. Now, where is the breakpoint now? Okay. R value is 2. Now, if R value is 2, how many times this loop is going to work? 2 times. So if this is going to work for 2 times, you will get 2 star and you will move to the next line. Correct? I think we are clear with the trace. You can trace this code. So generally, we don't trace it in this way. This is in the beginning, you can follow it, but I'll always suggest try to trace the code using pen and paper. Okay, R value is this. What will be the value of C? So that if you're doing that way, you can find your own mistake without the help of ID, right? Let's try to solve one more pattern based on the same. Are we going fast or you're able to cope up with the speed? It's fine, right? Okay. Now let's say when n is equal to 4, I have to print something of this sort. And let's say n is equal to 3, I have to print something of this particular sort, right? So can you tell me the relationship? R is equal to what and C is equal to what? R is equal to n, right? Yeah. So it will definitely go from 1 to n if I will generalize it up. In this row, in this definitely number of rows are 4, and in this number of rows are 3. What about C? C is equal to R, correct? Yeah, it will go to 1 to R. You're right with your observation. Can I say that this particular problem statement and the previous problem statement has the same structure? The only thing which is changing is the value which we are displaying. Now, can you try to do brainstorming which value you should print? Outer loop. Why outer loop? It's changing with rows, right? And if you will try to have the observation, can I say that? Let me change the color. Yeah. Can I say that this is my first row? This is second row. This is third row. And this is fourth row. In our program, rows are denoted by what? R, right? We are denoting rows with R, correct? And can I say that whatever the row number is, we have to print that particular value, correct? So can I say that you can change the print statement and solve this particular problem statement? We don't need to discuss. Shall we take it forward? Sure. Okay. Okay. Guys, just give me 2 minutes. I have minimized the chart. I don't know why it's behaving in this way. I couldn't find it out. Okay, cool. We'll just take this last problem statement. Any idea, anyone? Zoom chart is not visible now.
Try to minimize this.
Sorry?
Try to minimize the zoom. Then maybe
Dynamical?
minimize this.
Dynamic ID. Join the meeting ID. I've already joined, right?
Minimize the zoom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I'm already into the meeting. Yeah, I'm already connected, right? That's why I cannot join a meeting. Your screen, everything is turned on. Yeah, can you call the admin? Hmm? So Zoom chart is not visible. I'm already into the meeting now. What I'm saying is, meeting is already going on, right? Anyone has the link? Can you check whether it's connected or not? I haven't ended the meeting. It's just that I'm not able to with the chat.
Could you join once again?
Hmm? Yeah, I know that class is running. I'm not able to do the chat. Hmm. Okay. No problem. No, that's one note. It's working, right? Okay. Um, cool. No worries. I'll continue the session as of now. Okay. Guys, those who are attending online, your chart is now not visible to me. So if you have any doubts, oh, I think it came. So you turn on the camera. That's why. It's gone, man. Turn it on. Let me try to fix this first. Are you turned on the camera, right? Do it, man. Now I got this dialog box at least. Man, you again turned it off. Acha, cool. Okay, leave it. Okay. Anything we can do? Yes, we got the chart. Cool. Now let's go with the question 4 here. We wasted 10 minutes. Let's say in the question 4, you have to print something of this sort. when n is equal to 4 and when n is equal to 3. Now, if this is the case, can you tell me the relation? Can I say that relation will remain same? Right? So R is equal to N and C is equal to R. Right. So if you will try to start the relationship and if you have the clarity that outer loop is for the number of rows and inner loop is for the number of columns, it's easier to solve the problem statement based on pattern. Now, can you tell me what to print? What to print? Y column value. Let her answer. Why we should print column value?
Column value is increasing.
Yeah, why should I print the column value? What's the reason for that?
Sequence of the column
Correct.
is increasing.
Correct. Your logic is right. What about you? What's your reason that I should print the column value? Yeah, I get it that we should print column value, but why I should print column value?
Because as
You
per
would have some thought process, right? When you said that. So what's your thought process? You have to express. Interviewer is going to play like that only. Whenever you write something, why you've written this? Number of? So you're saying that I should print number of rows. So the point is, when we printed number of rows, we were able to get this pattern, right? Now we need this pattern. So these two patterns are different, correct? Now let's try to analyze. Let's go with black. If you wanted to number the row, you will number in this way. Am I correct with so far? 1, 2, and 3, right? And let's say you want to number the columns. How you will number them up? Similar way. This will be first column. This will be second column. And this will be a third column. Correct? Now, based on this, can you observe that whenever the column value is 1, you're always printing 1? Does this make sense to everyone? Whenever the column value is 2, you're always printing 2. Correct? And whenever the column value is 3, you're printing 3. Does this logic make sense? Yes, no? Sure. I don't think so that you're confident with this logic. Shall we trace and you will be able to understand better? Okay, we'll trace. Okay, so for the coding part, we can discuss, but is this part clear? Let's say, even if I will draw this 3x3 matrix, these are my row 1, 2, and 3, and these are my columns 1, 2, and 3. Is this part clear? Now, let's say if I want to fill this matrix with 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3. So whenever we are at the first column, we are printing 1. Whenever we are at the second column, we are printing 2. Whenever we are at the third column, we are printing 3. Is this part clear at least? So coding part, we will see how does it work. Okay. See, as of now, definitely we're tracing it out, but slowly, you have to trust your intuition. What was your intuition? That this structure is clear to me, right? That if I will follow these two conditions, I'll get something of this sort. The only thing which is remaining is what to print. Now, if I will trust my intuition and if I will trust my observation, you don't even have to trace down the code in order to solve this. I'm not saying that it will develop immediately, but yeah, slowly you have to start trusting your thought process. Cool. I'll take this code and I'll put it over here. Not in this way. Now, instead of star, we discuss that we will print the value of C and it will solve the problem. Now, let's trace the code. Let's say n is equal to 4. If n is equal to 4, what is the first condition you're going to check? First, you will check rows. And can I say that initially R value will be equal to 1? And you will check, is 1 less than or equal to 4? Correct. If this condition is true, you will go inside. Is this part clear? Then what you're going to do next? You will initialize C. C value will be equal to what? 1. Correct. And then what you will check? Right. So if I will talk about exact value, can I say that you're going to check 1 less than or equal to 1? Condition true or false? Condition true. If condition is true, you will go inside. If you'll go inside, what you're going to print? You're going to print the value of C, right? C value is 1. You will display 1. Is this part clear? Now, this is the closing of inner loop. Agreed with me? If this is the closing of inner loop, can I say that after this, control will go to this particular part? Agree with me? If control will go to this particular part, what will be the next value of C? 2. Now you will check this condition. What is the condition? 2 less than or equal to 1. So first was true. What about this? False. If it is false, can I say that it will come out of inner loop and execute this statement? If this statement is executed, what you will do? Next line, your code will move to the next line. Is this part clear? Now, can I say that this is the closing of outer loop? What will happen? Increment. R value will change to 2. So R value is 2 now. And then what you will do? Condition, right? Correct. Condition. Then you will increment the value of R. R value will be 2. 2 less than or equal to 4. Condition is true. If condition is true, what you will do? Inner for loop. Inner for loop, what will happen? Correct. C equal to. Okay. So what will be the initial value of C? Okay. So when you will think that, can you declare a 2 variable in the same scope with the same name? Let's say I've written int a equal to 5 and int a equal to 10 again. Will that work? No, right? So this is can I say that a variable which has the scope from this opening bracket to this closing bracket? Do you agree with me? So once this you came out of this bracket, can I say that memory with respect to this variable will be destroyed? You can't access that. So whatever the value C was holding, that's gone. So again, C value will be initialized to 1. Do you agree with me? Okay, cool. So C value is 1. Then you will check this condition. Correct? What is this condition? 1, 2. Less than or equal to 2, right? Is this condition true? If this condition is true, what you're gonna print? C value is 1. You will print 1. Correct. Now, this is the closing of inner loop. What you will do? Increment of C value is 2 now. Then 2 less than or equal to 2. This condition is true or false? True. If this condition is true, what you're gonna print? C value, which is nothing but 2, right? Correct. Again, this is the closing of inner loop. C value will again increment. So what will be the condition? Yeah, but what will be the condition? Correct. This condition is false. If this condition is false, you will come out of inner loop. You will execute this. Once you execute, you will move to the next line. So do you get it? Whatever the value of C we are displaying for, we trace it for R equal to 1, R equal to 2. I think for R equal to 3, it will also follow the same logic, right? So do you get it? How you should trace actually, right? So I'll end the session. It's in beginning of the pattern. We have so many patterns to discuss. There are complex pattern as well. If you wanted to try it after the class, you can try this particular pattern. This is what we're gonna discuss next. When n is equal to 4 and when n is equal to 3. This is for your brainstorming, if you want to try. Cool. I'll take the doubts online and then we can take your doubts. Okay. Let's say next we're gonna discuss something of this sort. And this is for n equal to 5. For n equal to 6, it will look something of this sort. You can try to solve it, and I'll say that okay. Can you guys write your email and give it to me in pen and paper? Like, just circulate one paper and write down your emails. I'll ask the admin to send you a class link, the sheet link, which contains all the problem statement which you have to solve, and you can access the GitHub content, right? That will be helpful. Because few URLs can be lengthy, right? You can't note it down. Okay. Just give me 5 minutes and then we can have the discussion. Sorry? WhatsApp group link. Okay, I think so. For that, even if the link, right, you have to type it down, or there should be a QR code to scan. I'll ask the admin, whichever is the feasible one, they can do that. If not, at least give me your emails as of now so that you should receive all the necessary things. Once you will create the WhatsApp group, we will definitely add you up for this batch so that you can ask your doubts at any time, right? We'll do that. Yes, Rohan, we are gonna create the WhatsApp group for this batch. I'll ask the admin team to do that up. Yeah. Yeah, sure, guys. Not required. When you are joining the Zoom class, if you have registered with your correct email, that will work. If not, what you can do, you can click on the same link. Acha, they already created it. I'll ask them to share the link with me then. I think I don't have an access to the same, right? Anything else? Guys, those who have their first session, not to worry. As of now, we have just discussed if condition and what we're gonna cover in this TSA course, right? Is there anyone who is having first session?
Yeah, yes, sir. I
Anyone
am.
has any doubts? Are you happy with the course speed?
I said, may I know the timings of
Yeah,
the class?
first session. Not to worry because if you're able to understand today, in the last class, we discussed about uh, if condition, and we talked about what. Yeah, no worries. You can go. So we talked about what is TSA, why it's important. That's what is being covered so far. All right. I'll ask the admin to share the recording with you. That will be helpful. Yeah. Anything else, guys, which you want to discuss?
Hi, sir.
You can let
Good
me know in
morning.
the chat. We can have the discussion and then we can take it forward.
Good morning, sir. One thing I want to ask. Hello.
No one, no doubts. Shall I?
Yeah, hello.
We
Hello.
will cover the internals of collection, Gurpreet. So yeah, collection will be covered.
Hello. Hello.
Anything else you want to ask, guys?
Hello. Am I audible, sir?
Please put it in the chat. We'll take it forward. Yeah, we will be solving the question based on lead code as well. But like all the questions which we are discussing in the course would be available in this hacker rank and you can solve it. Right? Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, hello.
If you have any query, you can ask.
May I know the course content? What will you cover
No doubt.
in this?
Cool guys, do you have any doubts, anything to discuss? Any one of you would be in the lab session today? How many of you? Can you please raise hand so I'll have the count? 1, 2, 2 folks, 3 to 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 folks would be in the lab, right? So I'll suggest that from 9:30 till 10, I will be in the lab. So you can practice. If you have any doubts, I'll clarify your doubt, right? Cool. Yes, case you can leave. It's fine. Course duration and the timing will be same because it will be from 8 to 9:30 and duration would be 3 months. In 3 months, you will be able to wind it off. So sorry. Sorry.
We'll drop our mail there. Can you please collect the document? Yeah, that will go.
Yeah. Anything else, Vikas, you want to discuss? Or anyone wants to discuss anything? If not, we can end the meet. Yeah, sure, Sai. I'll look into that and I'll try to respond. Yeah, you can turn it off. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm ending the meet now.